Come see us on tour. We're going to be in Bakersfield, San Jose, California, Buffalo, New York, Toledo, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Glasgow, Manchester, Belfast, Dublin, Liverpool, Birmingham, and London. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. So you know the knives are out for Pete Hegseth, right?
Yes, I do.
The Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth. And all the headlines and all the newspapers, all the social media is what a screw up this guy is, what an idiot, and he's on his way out. Why?
He's like the new Matt Gaetz.
Why? Why is Pete Hegseth out? Pete Hegseth, by the way, just fired 3 of his top advisors that were his lifelong friends that he handpicked.
Mm-hmm. And
you go, well, why did he fire those guys? Because it was released that Pete Hegseth, J.D. Vance, and Tulsi Gabbard advised Trump to not go along with Israel and bomb Iran. So that's what got out, right? Okay. So I'm thinking, they're going after him because of that. But why did he fire those 3 guys? Well, guess what? I'm watching the Ron Paul show and the Ron Paul Liberty Report. And I apologize for not having this guy's name written down. But he has a
wig cut.
He's gonna. I think he looks good. I'm jealous of his hair.
Well, me too. But I mean, it's cut to look like a wig.
But here we go. Watch this.
And how do you deal with the Pentagon in disarray, as we've talked about on the show over the past few days?
So apparently the Pentagon is in disarray. Pete Hegseth, not a good manager. That's what they're saying. And
a Pentagon where the Secretary of Defense is firing loyalists who he had worked with for years.
So he just fired his loyalists that he's worked with for years, who he appointed, Pete Hegseth. And why did he do that?
Acting as if he never knew them, that they were just leakers and disgruntled former employees, because they were found out to have advised Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, successfully advised him, we should not sign off on an attack on Iran. It's not going to be a cakewalk. He listened to them. He got smacked down by the neocons, and so he threw his staff under the bus.
So that's why Pete Hegseth fired those guys who were lifelong friends of his. And he said, they're leaking. They're doing all... It sounded like a bullshit. But it's because the neocons found out that they're coming down on Pete Hegseth for advising Trump against going to war with Iran. And they found out that Pete Hegseth was against it and advised Trump that way. So now he's trying to say, it's their fault. It's their fault. I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna be cool for going forward. It's their fault. That's what it sounds like. And
right. Well, Jimmy, is that like part of his? Because I gotta tell you, I'm still thrown for a loop. We showed those clips of him saying how we got to bomb Iran now, yesterday, from a while ago. And so I'm genuinely surprised that he was like, it's not a good idea to go to Iran.
Right.
So are they? I mean. So those are close friends of his. Are they in on that? Where like, you guys get fired, go on Tucker and tell people. Is it like that? Could it be like that?
But when he was saying we got to bomb the shit out of Iran, he wasn't the defense secretary. He was a guy trying to make a name for himself as a TV personality. Let's remember that. So now that he's defense secretary, he's got responsibility, and he doesn't want to see a war with Iran go belly up, which is what they were advising him. Hey, if you do this, it's not going to be good for us. There's a war that's not good for us. And so he was like, okay, let's try to negotiate. Well, then the neocons came down with a hammer on him, and he's like, well, it wasn't my fault. It was these guys, these motherfuckers. They're the ones who told me to. They're the ones. The people I've known all my life. He threw them under the bus. That's according to Ron Paul's Liberty Report. Right? Let's see. He's got it.
Something, thank goodness, Dr. Paul never did to any of us. So you have a situation, you have a White House in crisis, you have a Pentagon in crisis and disarray, and you have an administration that is expending an enormous amount of energy and effort without understanding the origins of the problem, without understanding the status of the situation, the status of the United States as a party to this war.
Okay. So now I'm watching this guy, Mike Benz, who's a friend of the show.
He's good, Mike Benz.
And he's good. He's got a lot of insight that he's full of information. So he says this. So he's talking about why the knives are out for Pete Hegseth. And this is what he has to
Here's the
say.
10 seconds that prompted me to tweet this, in case people haven't been following. So Liz Wheeler is very nice. She posted this 37-second clip. I didn't even watch the full 37 seconds, to be honest. Maybe I should. I paused it after 10 seconds. I went to Twitter videodownloader.com and I cropped the first 10 seconds and I said, okay, I've seen enough. I guess that's all I need. You know, you could train an aquatic mammal. You know, you could have a dolphin bay out the words that Pete Hegseth says here, and you could have Flipper at SeaWorld. If you could train to go and just bat out these words, I would be like, I'm okay with you being the commander of the world's largest army. And these are the 10 seconds.
Trump threatened the international order, Council on Foreign Relations, Washington, D.C., Brookings Institute types. They were never told their wars were stupid. Trump.
Good enough. He identifies the main thing. It's the institutions. It's the outside stakeholders of war, like the Council on Foreign Relations, like the Brookings Institution and their donor network. That's the reason we get involved in stupid wars. So we need to confront the institutions. We need to clean house, and we need to put an America First agenda in charge of our policy again. That's it. That's all you need. That's all I need in terms of strategic vision. That's it.
So Pete Hegseth might be a day drinker. He might be a cowboy. He might be a bad manager of the Pentagon. That's not why they get rid of someone. So they came down on him because it got out that he was advised to tell Trump not to go to war with Iran at this moment. He told him that. And the Council on Foreign Relations, the Brookings Institute, all the war people who make money off war, the war machine, they came down on his head. They want him gone. And so then he's trying to fire the people around him to say, okay. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me.
Oh,
and
is the Pentagon in disarray? What does the array look like?
What
Losing
does,
$2 trillion?
exactly.
Assholes.
I'm with you.
The nerve to be like, he's not qualified when they've lost $2 trillion. Well, they didn't lose it. They stole it repeatedly.
Right.
And they're like, oh, he can't handle this. No, they're like ticks that have to be dug out with like flames.
So let's see what else he has to say.
Actually has his thumb directly over the central dynamic of it all. I should probably listen to the other 27 seconds, right?
Let's listen.
Trump threatened.
Right. So Jim says, yes, Mike, it's not rocket science. But you'd be surprised how many people don't get it. And not necessarily because they don't get it, but because they can't say it. Because they are then boxed out of the Council on Foreign Relations.
That's right.
They're boxed out of the private equity funds. They can't be like Mark Milley and make 7 figures after being the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff working at J.P. Morgan.
Yeah. Isn't that something? A general from the Pentagon who was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff leaves the administration and then goes to work for Wall Street because he's a brilliant banker? Isn't that amazing?
Cover when he told them, you guys bankers are the real heroes.
Yes.
Of a U.S. military general said
That's
to
right.
bankers.
That's right.
And I'm supposed to believe this cock and bull story Trump called troops chumps.
Yeah.
You're all upset about that when I just watch a general call bankers the real heroes.
Let's watch a little more of this.
Going from the battle commander to a banker, or like Jared Cohen going to Goldman Sachs, or like all of them. But the nice thing is Pete Hegseth is probably independently wealthy because of his Fox News perch and his book sales and his celebrity status from there. So he doesn't need a 7-figure salary at a bank that's bankrolling U.S. foreign policy as it pertains to war. So I like it. It's elegant. It's simple. Anyway, let's hear the full clip.
Trump threatened the international order, Council on Foreign Relation, Washington, D.C., Brookings Institute types. They were never told their wars were stupid or their generals were losers or that NATO didn't step up, that China would unleash a virus. So let's call it the China virus and hold them to account for it. All of those things were a calling out of an international order that was failing and is continuing to fail and now has a great advocate in the regime currently in the White House. And Ukraine, it's basically a fight Donald Trump by fighting Putin through Zelensky war. They finally found a war they just absolutely love. Trump
Holy shit, this guy gets it. Yeah, that's exactly right. Oh, I definitely see the appeal now. Yeah, that's totally in line with Trump's foreign policy vis-a-vis Russia and China. And it's also, so it's totally in line on foreign policy, which is shifting to great power competition with China and relative neutrality with Russia. He's totally right that it was get Trump through get Putin. And so that's the outside foreign policy that he aligns with Trump completely eye to eye on. And then the internal threats is, he said, this was very interesting.
See, Brookings Institute types, they were never told their wars were stupid or their generals were losers.
Going right after the generals. And I know you guys who have read his books and have said in chat, read his books or listen to more of him. I just haven't had time. This just happened like 4 hours ago, guys. I did not, I got a lot of other stuff going on. There's other people who I diligenced for this DOD spot. Pete Hegseth was not one of them. So, but what I'm saying here, okay. What I'm saying here is, this fact that he says not only were the wars stupid, but the generals were losers. Trump has had this giant battle with the generals. And I've told you guys this story many times before. When I was just a humble scribe, when I was Donald Trump's speechwriter, I remember the day they walked in and said, Donald Trump wants you to look up what JFK had to say about his generals. And I thought, oh my God. Does he think his generals are going to kill him? What did JFK have to say about his generals? But that's how locked in horns-wise Trump was with the general class. So putting someone above the generals as the Secretary of Defense to be able to clean house and then setting up an independent board to basically keep a constant eye out for threats to Pete Hegseth. It's kind of fucking epic. It's kind of fucking epic. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. All right. We're learning something here. I'm learning. I don't know if you guys are. This is all new to me.
There's a chance to course correct it, but it would take the new Trump administration going after it really hard.
How would they correct it?
Well, first of all, you got to fire. You got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. Obviously, you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever that was involved in any of the DEI woke shit, it's got to go. Either you're in for war fighting, and that's it. And that's the only litmus test we care about. You got to get DEI and CRT out of military academies, so you're not training young officers to be baptized in this type of thinking. And then, whatever the standards, whatever the combat standards were, say, in, 1995, let's just make those the standards. And as far as recruiting, to hire the guy that, did Top Gun Maverick and create some real ads that motivate people to want to serve. And there's lots of other ways in which you could identify who gets promoted and what, but there's an ethos change. There's a reason people don't want to serve, because they don't trust that their senior leaders are going to have their best interest in mind in combat. I know there were mistakes made on our tours all over the place, but I, at least for the most part, had a sense that my senior leaders were committed to the completion of the mission for the right reasons. And maybe there were strategic differences and all that other stuff, and it wasn't always perfect, but that trust is broken, and you have to reestablish that trust by putting in no-nonsense warfighters in those positions who aren't going to cater to the socially correct garbage.
That's good stuff. I know more about this than I should, but I did get a Pentagon DEI program shut down during the Biden administration in 2021.
So basically, you get the point. So if you're wondering why the knives are out for Pete Hegseth, that's what so he's fighting with the generals, he's fighting with the Council on Foreign Relations, he's fighting with the Brookings Institute, the war machine, and now they came down on him really hard. So he fires the people under him who told him, "Hey, don't go to war with Iran," because I think he was up for going for war with Iran. And then there were everybody from Tulsi to JD to his 3 top advisors like, "Hey, no, this would actually mess us up. This would put us in a bad spot. And you're the defense secretary, so it's going to fall on your head." So
don't think
go ahead.
You don't think that because it seems like they were like faking they're for it. All 3 of them seemed to me like they were faking being for it, and that would explain why they seem so 180. You know what I mean?
Yes.
On the initial thing.
Yeah. Maybe they had to do that to get confirmed. Who knows? But if you go to, so there's that, I've talked about this before. They're a sponsor, Kalshi. You can bet on anything. You could bet on politics. You could bet on who's going to win the Canadian election. You could bet on when Trump ran. You could bet on that. Well, now, guess what? You can bet who's going to leave their role in the Trump administration this year. You can go there and bet.
Oh.
The first one at top, it says Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. 48% of the money is on him leaving first. Peter Navarro, Howard Lutnick. I'd like to see that guy go. I don't like that guy.
I bet betting no is the smart bet on that because he sucks so bad, Howard Lutnick.
Yeah.
He's really a demon, that guy.
And
did you know, Jimmy, that... Oh.
Go ahead. Did I know what?
Nixon was talking about firebombing the Brookings Institute back in the day?
No!
But they didn't want to pay for the getaway car or something?
No kidding.
Yeah.
So this is who will leave their role in the Trump administration this year. 48% of the money's on Pete Hegseth. 38. So that's the administration. But now, with Trump's cabinet, which is different. His cabinet is different. Again, Pete Hegseth, number 1 at Kalshi. The money's on Pete Hegseth. And then underneath that's Howard Lutnick, who I hope that guy goes. 20%. And then Scott Bessent, which is the Secretary of Treasury, at 10%. So if you don't know what Kalshi is, you can bet this is legit. Like they have to register with the SEC and all that stuff.
Start betting, right? That's the message I'm getting.
Yeah. Hey, don't we have a thing that we can? Don't we have a deal if people want to go over there to our sponsor, Kalshi?
Stand by.
I think I.
Oh, is it a sponsor for real?
Oh yeah, for real.
Oh, I was a joke. I didn't know it was a sponsor.
So if you go to Kalshi,
I should put. I know this game. I should put odds in.
Dore 10 for 10% off.
So if you go to Kalshi.com/Dore.
Yeah, Kalshi.com/Dore. Get a free $10 credit.
You get a free $10 credit when you trade $100. So I'm going to bet. I say the knives are out for Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a little money on that. But who knows? Maybe Trump knows the game. But we'll see.
Hey, if I'm wrong, I'll be happy.
Yeah. That'd be money I'd be glad to lose, huh?
I'd like to bet on Howard Lutnick never gets kicked out and then lose. That would be like a win-win.
I really can't stand. I can't stand that Lutnick. He's my least favorite guy in the whole administration.
Well, I mean, he does talk like one of the worst people who's ever lived. Every time I see him say something.
Every time.
I mean, he's close contest with the guy with the bloody eye from the WEF.
Ah. Okay. Well, that's Kalshi.com. You can bet on anything. You can bet on anything political, anything politics. You can bet on who's going to be the new pope.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know enough. I don't have enough data on that, but I could talk to James McCann, comedian James McCann. I bet he'll know because he filled me in on the whole Pope deal.
You can bet on who's going to win the Canadian election on Monday, eh? Or Liberal Party, Conservative, the Carney, or the polio.
Can I put in some kind of lizard?
Yeah, put in some kind of lizard. That should be an option. Come see us on tour. We're going to be in Bakersfield, San Jose, California, Buffalo, New York, Toledo, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Glasgow, Manchester, Belfast, Dublin, Liverpool, Birmingham, and London. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.